Hello, Terry here, Hot Wrench Fabrication, and got another video series coming up. Well, it's probably not going to be a series; it's probably just going to be one video on this one. Got me a Buckshot. This was originally a 2001, I think he said, Buckshot, but it was taken back to Buckshot and kind of revamped and updated. So, kind of a pretty cool car. Nice fiberglass body on it. Bougie interior. She looked comfy. Of course, it has the S4 manual transmission in there with a 383. Sounds pretty good. No mufflers, so she's loud, but it's okay out of the dunes. This kind of neat little feature. A little lid pops up. You know, it's just simple stuff like that. Pretty cool. You know, how they make that stuff and it just clips on. So pretty neat. Yeah. It's all updated with the newer black hoses and all that kind of stuff, except for I'm not a big fan of that. What's going on there, huh? It's gonna cut my arm up on that. I think they probably could have done something a little differently with these hoses. Buckshot did that. Like, we could have made some brackets, but that's all right. Air cleaner seemed a little small for this motor, but not a lot of room. Anywho, yeah, it's pretty cool. Nice accessory kit on there. She got a little miles on there. Huh? It's pretty good little groove in that water pump. And I got to kind of do an inspection on that like I always do. I did see one thing already. There's no pre-filter for the fuel, which is very, very odd coming from Buckshot. So the gas, you know, from this fuel cell, gas comes in and then goes right into the fuel pump itself, which is down yonder. And then there's a filter afterwards. But if you get some junk in your tank, it's going to go right into the pump instead of going through a filter first. So I'm going to fix that. That's no bueno. Well, yeah, there's a little list of things I have to do. Came in for oil and filter, trans oil, service CVs, bleed brakes, and do an inspection. So, piece of cake. And of course, whatever else I find, I will address and tell the customer. But hope you enjoy this series. I keep saying series, not a series, just a video. Should be able to do this pretty quick. But I was thinking the other day, actually yesterday, hold please, that you know, I've been doing this for quite a few years. I started going back in '93. Worked at a Ford dealership, and I first moved here from Albuquerque, and went to the dunes for the first time and just absolutely got hooked. I mean, it was amazing. I was borrowing a bike and just had the time of my life out there, and completely hooked ever since. And going up through the years, you know, motorcycles, quads, three-wheelers, all that kind of stuff. Then I started getting into sand rails. And Sand Sports magazine, got a subscription to that. Man, I just read that thing. I couldn't wait for it to come out. And this is the kind of stuff that I was looking at, right? All these cars back from the early 2000s, and now I get to work on them. So the last video I did was obviously on that dunebuggy.com car. I got a Buckshot on this one. He also has a Tatum, so I'm going to be working on that. I got a racer car coming in. I have to do a little bit of work on that. And then another guy has an older Tatum that's completely getting rebuilt, new bodies. We have to work on that one. So it's just amazing, you know, just thinking of where I'm at and, you know, the kind of stuff I used to look at in that magazine 20 years ago, and now here they are in my shop. And it's literally the same cars from 20 years ago too, because back in the 2000s they were building some amazing cars, and they're all kind of popping up, and they need working on. So I'm here to do that. But yeah, it's cool stuff. So hope you enjoy this, and I'll show you what I see. All right, so I got most of this all checked out, and it's actually in pretty good shape. Like I said before, the pre-filter is not on the fuel system, which is completely baffling. So I went and purchased a filter. So a pre-filter is basically a screen in here, and that protects all the junk so it doesn't go into your pump. If you don't have a pre-filter, anything that's in there, in the tank, no matter what it is, chunks of silicone, dirt, sand, it's going to go right into your pump, and it's going to end up screwing up your pump. So a pre-filter goes before that, has a cleanable screen in there, so you never have to replace it. Just take it apart, clean it every now and then your pump, and then you have a 100 micron post filter, and that keeps the really tiny little debris. So went and picked up that and some fittings, and then I upsold an air cleaner, because this is garbage, little Edelbrock. This is a street air cleaner, and that just went on there. And it's just kind of cheesy the way it was done. Plus it got in the way of his little latching system right there. And these aren't great. They let in a little bit of sand and stuff through there. So doesn't look like it was really oiled either, which is not good. But you can see, I mean, these things are, they're not even sealed. So sand can get in around that. That's no bueno para caca. So what I did is I bought all this stuff all up in here. Sorry if that was a little loud. All the fittings and stuff for the fuel system, and the new filter for the 100 micron filter going out. And then I'm going to do this kind of general mock-up for the air cleaner, which is really going to be cool. So aluminum. I wasn't sure if I was going to do aluminum or stainless steel or mild steel, but I just found some aluminum ones. So those are basically going to go on there. So I need to kind of cut them at a little bit of an angle so that they sit up. And then got a nice robust air cleaner that's going to sit pretty much right there. So it's going to look really cool. And then there's plenty of room underneath the hood when it comes down. And then this piece right here will end up just being real short. That's going to go right on the end of that. And then that will go into the little horseshoe. So it should look pretty cool. Not sure if I'm going to polish this or powder coat it or something. This would be fine. It's kind of a nice brushed aluminum look already, but this is a little rough, so not sure. I will figure all that out. And then of course I got all my grease for my CV joints. My absolute worst thing that I have to do on vehicles is the CV joints, but it's got to be done. And then oil change, and yeah, that's about it. So we'll keep working. All right, so I started off with the filter, pre-filter right there, went right to the pump and right to the post filter. Super clean, super tight and right. And then I started working on this power steering. Power steering was clocked, and it was actually rubbing on the alternator right here. Well, it wasn't rubbing, but they had to grind it in order to have it fit, which is kind of silly because if you're in the dunes and you have to replace the alternator, it's not going to fit unless you have a grinder with you. Then you can grind the crap out of your alternator. So put it back the way they normally are and raise this up, shorten this hose right here, and everything is perfect. Fits absolutely wonderful. I'm just going to make a little bracket that bolts onto the frame right here so I don't have to weld on it. And then this little bracket that was back here, I could trim that and take that off. I actually need to move this out just a tiny bit because it was about 1/8 of an inch too far in. So I'll take this one out, put a little bit bigger spacer back there, bring that whole thing out. And yeah, that'll be super clean. Then we'll just tie off those hoses so it doesn't get back here on the header. But yeah, simple little things that should have been done the right way the first time. I mean, come on, people. It's ridiculous to have to grind your alternator instead of making this stuff fit. It's not that difficult with how open everything is. So, yeah, there we go. All right, Monday morning. Ready for a new day, a new week. I got this stuff kind of sorted out where I want to put it. I think what I'm going to do is make a little bracket, mill it out, and actually bolt it in over here. And then I have to take this bracket out, this one back in there, and actually space this out another 1/8 of an inch. So it looks like 1/8 inch material. So I'll make a 3/16 plate spacer to fit in that, bring this out to where it's supposed to be, and then that will be done, and then I can start working on the air cleaner. So let me get all this taken apart, and we'll go from there. All right, so that looks a little cleaner. So I just made a 1/4 inch. I said 3/16 before, but I made a boo-boo. Had an 1/8 inch plate on there, thusly. And I needed to go out 1/8 of an inch, so 1/8 plus 1/8 equals 1/4 of aluminum. So that was pretty easy. Just cut it off of a little chunk on my little saw right there, and ground her down, drilled a couple holes, and then these 2 holes that the pump's going to go on, I drilled behind this. Make sure that the bolts don't bottom out. And then that little apparatus right there should be able to bolt right on. Piece of cake. And all I got to do is make the bracket for up here, and I'll be done. Oh, okay, that looks way, way better. This belt is super straight now. Lines up perfect. It turns out real clean and nice. And then now I just got to do this bracket. So I'm going to take this little chunk I had laying around and just mill it out. I'm going to put a curve in this, and then I'm going to put a nut cert to be able to bolt this in. So I will put a hole in the end of this, put a countersunk or a cap screw in there, and then 2 holes going in that, and it'll look real nice. That's better. So just made a simple little block, put a rib nut in there, bolted this block in, original bracket, nice and tight. This is all super clean, and obviously the biggest thing was getting it up off of this alternator. Just really, really silly. Whoever originally did this, you have to, if you buy a new alternator, you have to grind it to get it on there instead of just putting this on the right way. And the holes were already in this plate to clock it this way. So I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And then the alignment, absolutely money. So we should be good now. Not going to throw any belts. And if alternator goes out, you can replace it very easily. Super clean. So that's done. Fuel's done. Now I need to start on this cool little air cleaner here. So this is the basic setup. Needs to be narrowed. I got to cut some of this off, and then I only need like this much of this. So get going. So this is what I came up with. Pretty cool. Really didn't show any of the fabrication on this because quite frankly I kind of forgot and I was getting frustrated with my welder. But basically all I had to do was just cut those two at an angle, weld them together, and then ground this down. You see I put a little bead on there with my homemade bead roller that you've seen on the channel before. So that was pretty cool. And then drop this in there without scratching it. So it's going to go like that. Put the air cleaners on and it's done. Thought about making some sort of a bracket, but I don't think I need it. It's going to kind of lay on the engine and it's going to be pretty sturdy. I bought some really good clamps for it. Got the little T-bar clamps, so I think it's going to be alright. So peel the plastic off of here, put those on, and the little sand socks, and we'll stick this thing on there. Should look pretty neat. Okay. That looks pretty cool. So, gonna need how I put the little V in the back of that to kind of keep the little motif going on there. So yeah, looks nice. And then now you got plenty of room for your little latch right here. And everything fits. Plenty of room. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's kind of funny because have the list over here, which I haven't done anything yet on the list that he actually came in for. But I did some other cool stuff. Fuel's done. This turned out really good. Once again, I just can't believe how ridiculous that was. I mean, all the holes were there on the bracket to clock that the right way. Silly. And then I had to route the belt the right way. He didn't have it routed the correct way. He had it going this way instead of that way. It'll fit either way, but this is the way it's supposed to go. So, all right, so now I can actually do what he came in for, and that's just your basic service work. I'll pull the belly pan out of it and drain the oil and get the CVs done. And this thing should be done today. So I want to say 100% probably, close to 100% of the vehicles that I start working on and take the hoods off or covers off, this is what I find. I mean, this is, $100,000+ car that was actually updated. It's built in 2001. I think it was updated in 2017 with all the new hoses and all this stuff back here. Looks real nice. All the nice hoses. I think it has a Holley system on there. All nice. This stuff looks like it's all loomed up pretty decent back here. But I don't like all these little Velcro straps that they have throughout the whole entire car. Velcro over there, Velcro, and then they left these cheesy plastic loom on there. The whole entire car is held on by the Velcro. And under the cockpit where you're sitting all the time, you look up, what? It's just ugly. So, but it works, I suppose. But this is just a mess. And the scariest thing is that, they have this fuse box. It looks like a pretty decent sized wire going into it. Looks like, it's pretty big, which is good. But then they run 30 amp fuses to everything. Let's just put 30s on everything. A fuse is designed to pop when you have an overloaded system. But everything has to work within the confines of said fuse. So for example, 30 amp fuses takes a 10 gauge wire. This is nowhere close to a 10 gauge wire. You know, they put 2 of them over there. I suppose 2 15s would equal, 2 5s would equal a 10, but, or actually 2 20s would equal a 10, but it doesn't work that way, regardless. You can't just slap whatever fuses you want in there. None of this stuff is sealed, so you can get water and corrosion in there and get a faulty connection. And then I don't know what's going on here. Let's just wrap all this wire up. We don't need to shorten that up. Got a fuse here, another fuse over here, which who knows what they go to. Just disaster. Wrapped up. It's way too long. I mean, good Lord. Metal exposed right there. And then, see if I can get my camera under here without smacking you guys around. Hold please. Coming through. Alright, so right here, you can see this little installation right here is getting cut. Where's it at? Yeah, on that wire right there. You can see it's rubbing right now. So every time you turn, cutting into our wiring. So eventually that's going to go through and potentially cause a fire, or at least pop a fuse, and you're not going to know where it's at because the fuses are just everywhere. So we're going to update the wiring system on here. Actually, in a few weeks, I have some other work I got to get done first, but I'm going to put a switch pro on here. Get rid of the switches, put a little switch panel over there, either down there or over there. Super nice, super clean, solid state. Bring this thing into the 20s anyway. 2025 signature series with my buddy Mike over at MT Auto Electric. For all of your electronic needs, go to Mike at MT Auto Electric. Shameless plug. So we have a couple of wiring jobs coming up, but yeah, get this done and then this car would be nice, updated and good to go. So yeah, we'll run all these wires through the frame, pop them in and out wherever we have to, get them all cleaned up and get rid of all that junk. So yeah, it'll be nice. So right now I was working on the brakes. Had to take all this off to get to the brakes, and did some bleeding on there. Found there's the turning brake down there. Nice. Get everything adjusted and bled out. Found a little air in the system, but it's quite a bit better now. So I'm just about done. In fact, I could start marking off on my little board over here. So oil change is done. Trans done. Bleeding the brakes is done. I saved that for last because that's nasty. And then inspection is done. And the other stuff that I upsold, which was the fuel, power steering debacle, air cleaner, all that's done. Yeah. So really all that's left is do the CVs, and this thing's done for this go around, and then when he brings it back we'll do the wiring. So let's get it finished up. Alright, it's all done. Customer's gonna come pick her up tomorrow. Got the hood put back on there. Brakes are bled, feeling good. He's coming back in a few weeks for a whole wiring job because, you know, as you see, we can knock off the CVs. Done. So yeah, probably gonna get these ceramic coated too while he's over here, because that's kind of ugly. But the car is B to the A. This thing's nice. So yeah, you'll see some more of this car. She'll be back for some more work. Customer's super stoked with what I had done to it, and got a few more things to clean up on the wiring, and this car will be sick. So thanks for joining. If you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comment section, and smash that subscribe button. I want to get at least past 1,000. I'm still hovering underneath that, so help me to get there, people. And share my channel with your friends. I got some more dune buggy content, sand rail content coming up, and then of course dune season's about to start, so I'll put some more of my dune videos out there. But thanks for joining. Take care.